Hello everyone, it's Dave Wood, General Manager of Operations. As Chris has mentioned, we will be providing the information we normally provide in person in shed meetings via this electronic medium. I'll give a general overview of operations across the business as well as site specifics around Harwood. Simon will provide information around transport harvesting. John Fury will give an update on what's been happening engineering wise in the factories at Harwood, and Alister will provide his ag report. As General Manager, my role is very much to coordinate and standardise our systems and procedures across all sites. Our strategic plan underpins everything we do. As Chris mentioned, we need to maintain a focus on our business continuity plan while ever COVID remains a threat in our community. This year we've reinvigorated our engagement teams. We've got representatives from employees and senior management. Good communication and greater understanding amongst us all are cornerstone to a good positive work environment. Continuous improvement remains a fundamental requirement in any business. We've been working to standardise our CI teams across the business with some good work being done by the teams. There's a continued focus on RCM and building systems. Dan Rojo, the Technical Services Manager, and the engineering teams continue the good work in this area. We all know that our factories are ageing. The business is committed to maintaining our assets so that we can crush the members' crops and deliver a finished good into the marketplace. So over the last 12 months we've spent close to $15 million on maintenance and capital right across the business. In November 2020 we achieved sign-off from the 6 councils across our growing region and the NHVR on our PBS permit system, which basically allows us to load to a gross weight of 50.5 tonne. This was delivered against advice from consultants that had worked in the Queensland cane industry that said it would take us years to get the PBS scheme approved. This was achieved by a lot of hard work by the cane supply team, in particular Jonathon, Lambrick and SCT's Mick Summers. So after the approval in November we ordered a further 19 quad axle trailers. Unfortunately we won't take delivery of all 19 prior to the start of the seasons. So we will have to phase out the tri-axle trailers at Harwood as the quad axle trailers arrive. So we believe this will be only in the first few weeks. They're telling us we should have full delivery by mid-July. So that delay, MaxiTrans did have to stop their factory numerous times due to COVID related issues, and they also had issues getting parts from overseas. So Simon will talk in more detail about it, but we will start 2 harvesters at Harwood on the steel bins and on the tri-axle trailers, and then we'll phase that out, as I said, as the trailers arrive and we can push up on bin weights. It's worth noting that there's been further refinement to the movable bin stops, as well as weight concessions on the steer axle weights, which basically mean it'll make it easier to achieve our bin axle weight limits. I know we've thrown a challenge to the harvesting sector, but I'm sure working together we'll get there throughout the season. Looking specifically at Harwood now, and a quick review of the 2020 season. In this slide you can see that our crop ended up at 568,000 tonnes against a grower's estimate of 550,000. The season ran for 25 weeks, which was 3 weeks longer than we'd planned, which I'll talk about in a sec. CCS was up half a unit on 5-year averages, and we made 3,000 tonne of sugar more than we'd budgeted. So it was a tough crushing year. As we all know, there was an issue on number 1 mill variable speed drive, which plagued us throughout the season. We had the failure of the top roller shaft in number 3 mill, and then we had the number 2 generator offline for most of the season, which impacted crushing rates. So all of those issues have been addressed for the 2021 season. In this slide is just a snapshot of the operating plans for all 3 sites this year. So you can see we'll be delivering in excess of 1.8 million tonnes into the business, and importantly making around 213,000 tonnes of sugar for refining. So just a little more detail for Harwood. You can see there that we'll be starting on Tuesday the 8th of June. Forecast finish date 28th of November, 25-week season. Average crushing rate around 203 tonnes of cane per hour. We've been quite generous in our allowances for inside and outside stops. That crop will deliver around 77,000 tonnes of sugar and 24,000 tonnes of molasses. And as per Chris's slide, the cane price to the grower for this coming season is forecast to be around $36 to $38 a tonne. In the refinery, we moved to continuous operation in the first week in February. This was due to our raw sugar situation, forecast crops, and our forecast sales program. And I see that as a real positive sign for our business. That move came straight after the 3-week outage in January, in which we built the new undergrade, or installed the new undergrade in the boiler, reinstated the economiser and did associated works with the ash system. So that stop was 3 weeks. It was probably the longest stop the refinery's ever taken, and it did impact us in finished goods stocks around the country, and we're slowly building that back up now. Boiler fuel continues to be a major issue for us, running that boiler, particularly in the non-crush. There is just not as much fuel around as there used to be. The forestry industry is under immense pressure, and we're not seeing the volumes of wood wastes and sawdust that we've seen in previous years. So that economiser and undergrade are very important for us. We're already seeing huge savings in fuel usage, and we plan on building substantial big ash stocks this coming crush, so we've got that fuel into the 2022 non-crush. So the refinery plan for the next 12 months is continue on the continuous roster, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and there's some positive signs out there with contracts into bulk sugar markets, which will help our operations.
Hello there, Simon Hollis here, cane supply manager at Harwood Sugar Mill for Sunshine Sugar. Just to give you a presentation on the upcoming season for harvest. So we'll have an overview of the estimate for 2021, some estimate notes, the forecast for 2022, what our harvest program entails, what pad maintenance we're going to undertake, and allocations for North Clarence and Clarence harvesting. Yeah, so the 5-year average came through for 603,000. The estimate sent to the growers, we came back with 580, which we think is a bit light. So as a crushing budget, we're going to use 660 for our purposes and allocations. So it represents a 48% rotation, harvested area to cultivated area. Our cultivated area has reduced since previous years, so we're around about 9,900 hectares. Our average rotation is 52%, and of our cultivated area, there's 1,625 hectares of fallow. Our estimate's probably been affected by the drought in 2019, where we only had 530 mil. As you can see, we got 1,500, near 1,600 mil last year for the whole year, and currently we're tracking at 1,305. So there has been some damage attributed to flooding that occurred in March, as well as the heavy rainfall we had in January. So we had 1,350 hectares planted last year, which was up on the previous year from the drought. It was about 1,100. So that gives us, compared to last year you can see 27% was 208, 16% 232, and 15% was 240. Transition this year for the cane planted last year is 208, still around that 27%, but been a real push towards 232 and a bit of a slacking off at 240. 252's gained a bit of momentum as well. Overall, it's pretty same statistics. And overall, the mill area, 36% of our area is 208, with 232 and 240 being our other major varieties. So from this, the forecast for 2022 is around about 610,000 based on a 5-year average. Anticipating probably upward potential on that with the 1-year-old that we're showing at the moment. We're nominated to start crush on 10 AM Tuesday the 8th of June. When that's progressed to finish about the 28th of November. We'll be continuous crush from the start, and 205 tonnes an hour budgeted crushing rate. We anticipate having probably a maintenance day every 2 weeks. In that, we've got 37 hours budgeted inside outside stops based on our 5-year average. about 17 hours of that is wet weather. 6 harvesters to commence the season. Before with Clarence harvesting and 2 with North Clarence. We'll have 7 quad axles and 4 triaxles to commence the season. And once the triaxles will come back into play when Condon commences. We've experienced a little delay with our quad axles, but once our trailers are delivered, we'll be back on the quad axles, and we'll see how we go with our triaxles with our steel bins. At this point in time, our average trip time is around about 56 minutes to and from the pad. So with our quad axles, we'll be operating under triaxles will be operating under higher mass limits. So it gives us a gross weight of 45.13, which is around about 23 tonne. And with our quad axles, we should be able to go to a gross weight of 50.5, so 27 tonne may be the target. Again, we'll have a harvest incentive program based on either the higher mass limit or the PBS. Pad maintenance. Wet weathers and flooding has hampered our progress this year. We have managed to get out and spray the pads. We'll get the grass killed on those, and then we'll commence maintenance within days. But it'll be an interaction of the season commencing and still continuing on with pad maintenance. So we'll be managing that going forward. In saying that, we're going to try new material on 28 pads. We'll try a shale, see if they will stick to the pads better. And we're doing 102 pads, some sort of maintenance on all of those. Allocations, North Clarence, they came out with about 208,000 tonne of the 580, which is around about 36% of the supply, which equates to about 1,770 tonnes a day at 205 tonnes an hour. That equates to about 41 bins on steel bins. I anticipate having at least one North Clarence harvester on steel bins, and the other, when on quad axles, will be around about 35 quota bins a day. Clarence harvesting is 371,000 tonne of the 580, which is at 64% of the supply. Which equates to about 3,150 tonnes at 205 tonne an hour. That would be 36 bins a day for steel bins, and equivalent of about 32 bins a day for quad axles. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is John Fury, Engineering Manager of the Harwood facility, Sunshine Sugar. Going to run you through a few things we undertook over the last 6 months through the non-crush period, starting with the maintenance program in the process house. Some of the major items we tackled was a major overhaul of our number 4 George filter, our pan cooler, had a major overhaul with new loom drive, thrust bearings and drive wheel. We installed a new 4-inch oil supply and return pipe for our boiler fuel. We had a broken shaft and an ash conditioner screw which was replaced, and we totally stripped our plate evaporator, cleaned it and regasketed it. We also did the normal usual leaks repairs, patches of holes and cracks repairs throughout the plant. Down the bottom of the slide you'll see there's a couple of screenshots of our project plan, and to the right hand side some pictures of our mill program, the top 2 pictures being our mill number 4 cheek, had a rather large crack in it. The middle picture is a part repair. You can see the plate we welded in there, and then the top picture is it's completed. The bottom picture is the new rotor being installed into our shredder. On this slide we have the mill maintenance program. The major items undertaken in the mill was the side carrier drive got completely rebuilt, new sprockets and chains and the like. The shredder had a major overhaul, the rotor, which is pictures from the previous slide and on this one. New disc bearings and grid bar as well. Number 1 mill had an overhaul roller and trash bars. Number 2, couplings, bearings, bushes. Number 2, intermediate carrier, had a new shaft, spring steel bottom runners were replaced. Number 3, new front roller, which was a reshield roller, top roller and brasses were replaced. Number 3 engine, replaced all the white metal bearing seals, they were leaking quite badly. Number 4 middle cheek repairs, the pictures from the previous slide. We also reconditioned the brasses, repaired the underfed roller on number 4 as well. A few screenshots of our program down the bottom, and the other thing we did was the Mill 1 drive. Drives were totally refurbished under warranty through our supplier. We also upgraded the controller, which we believe was the root cause of the issues we had last season. However, those drives are no longer supported, and we do have new drives on order, expected to be on site around mid to late July. Therefore, if we do have ongoing issues with Mill 1 drive, we have new drives that are supported on their way and turning up shortly. On this slide, you'll see a large focus area for us over the last 6 months, which was our boiler house and our powerhouse. We had to undertake the major Belzona repairs on our 3 megawatt generator. You'll see the top right picture there, the damage to the rotor before the repairs, and on the far right picture, the machine back together and running. We also had to replace our sub-ash conveyor, undergrate replaced, and economiser recommissioned on the boiler itself. That was the major focus of our January shut program. We have since completed the boiler insulation works and steam leak repairs in that area. The gas feeders, we replaced the level probes. We also had numerous bearing issues and roller failures on several the gas conveyors, 5, 6 and 2, which have all been now rectified. Our number 2 750 kilowatt generator that failed last season was removed from site and sent to Brisbane for a complete rebuild. It has since returned and been reinstalled mechanically, and electrically we're just recommissioning in the last couple of weeks before we start crushing. We had 3 days of power off checks and annual calibration checks completed also across the site, mainly around the boiler and powerhouse though. This slide focuses on our refinery plant. We completed annual checks across the plant, some of the major ones listed there on the top line. Affination fuels A and B had major repairs, including bearings, structure and motor mountings. Sugar melter had a new gearbox installed. Aplexium columns, we had rubber repairs and resin changes. Refined pan condensers A and B had some major pipe work replaced and flange repairs carried out. White sugar fuels A, B and C had their annual maintenance completed. Packing lines, both the retail and bud pack, had their annual maintenance completed, and the retail plant had some new control screen panels installed. Settling tank received a major overhaul, totally blasted that and repainted it. Syrup plant cooler had a major overhaul. Town water control boxes were replaced. Once again, the gas feeders I mentioned on the previous slide. The injection water pipe work was replaced to a condenser, and water strainer was overhauled. That was a major issue for us recently, with pipe work blocking up and those strainers blocking up, so we hope to put those issues behind us. And number 4 pan had a top cone major repair. Down the bottom you'll see just some pictures of our tacking plants. This slide focuses on our capital program. However, I did mention a few of these previously. The boiler grate overhaul and the sub-ash conveyor. So down the bottom you can see a picture up inside the boiler with the total sub-ash conveyor and grate removed. The next picture along is the sub-ash hopper being installed. Then the next 2 pictures are the final install, fully insulated, both the entry and exit, and the top picture is the internals of the economiser. We are also undertaking at the moment an air compressor replacement. They had 2 fail last year, and we are replacing both of them with a larger unit, and that will be installed in the coming weeks. We are also undertaking an upgrade to our bin shed, where we maintain our bins, to accommodate the new larger bins. In the January shut, we also did a bud back PLC upgrade. It is not complete. It has caused some issues for us since, and we've had some major downtime because of it, and we are continuing to work on that and get that resolved. This slide shows a bit more of a higher level picture for our department for the last 6 months. We've developed a 12-month and 5-year capital plan for the site, which is currently sitting with our site operations manager, and we submitted to the business in the coming days. We developed a new shutdown management program, fully documented and traceable and transparent, that we used in our January shut, which delivered a very good shut result, and all stakeholders quite happy and pleased with the result. It did give us quite a few lessons learned of things we can improve on for next time, which allow us to apply those to our next shut program. We're developing at the moment a project management process, both for OPEX and capital programs. So once again, they are fully documented, communicated to all stakeholders and transparent. We have undertaken some major floor repairs and roof repairs on our buildings, as well as some line marking was recently completed in our May shut. As I speak, we are undertaking some road repairs around our ring road at our rear entrance to our plant. When the new finished goods warehouse was built, that roof allowed a lot of water to accumulate in that area and has damaged that road severely. So we have put in a spoon drain to stop that reoccurring, and we'll resurface that road. We developed a root cause failure analysis program and process, as well as a training package, and that was rolled out to all stakeholders, operations, engineering, safety, quality and the like. And that has been implemented as well, and we're reaping some benefits from that program as well. The other major change to our department was our workflow management. We have implemented that, which included a 24-hour report, a backlog and sign-off plan meeting every week with all stakeholders, so full transparency of what work is being undertaken or not, and buy-in from all stakeholders with reports of delivery each week. That has seen a major change to the way we manage our to-do list, if you like, our backlog. Like most engineering departments, we have more to-do items than we have time, money or people, and we need to make sure we prioritise the right jobs on the right assets and tackle those first, and the lower priority ones have to wait. Having a documented and clear workflow management process has allowed us to do this, and we are starting to develop this into the norm and deliver results for our site.
Good day and welcome to the Ag Services virtual shed meeting for the Harwood Mill area. Today we're going to look at a number of key issues for the season ahead. We will update the weather outlook and look at the implications for the upcoming season, look at changes to the mill mud distribution program, and discuss progress in the ratoon stunting disease survey that was recently undertaken. We will then update you on clean seed availability and progress in the approved seed plot, discuss some new varieties that are coming online, and then move on to look at weed control, drain cleaning and spraying, and the upcoming acid sulphate soils audit. The latest forecast from the Bureau of Meteorology for the period of July to September 2021 forecasts wetter than average conditions through the period. However, the chance of exceeding median rainfall over the winter period is less in coastal areas. Across the Harwood Mill area, the Bureau expects only a 50 to 55% chance of exceeding median rainfall. The El Nino Southern Oscillation Index, or ENSO, reading is currently neutral, as is the Indian Ocean Dipole. Warmer sea temperatures to the north of Australia are expected to bring increased chances of winter rainfall across much of northwestern and inland Australia, but the influence of this system is less in our area. The accuracy of the BOM prediction for this period of winter is 55 to 65%. Daytime maximum temperatures in our region have a 50 to 55% chance of exceeding the medium levels, according to the Bureau. This should support further growth of the crop throughout the season. The chance of exceeding minimum temperatures is 60 to 70%. The past accuracy of these forecasts in our area is between 55 and 65%, according to the BOM website. That suggests that there will be less chance of frost during the winter period. Welcome news given the frost damage that we've seen in recent years. Overall, the latest BOM forecast suggests that the winter should present reasonably good conditions for further growth and development of the crop. And while there is a chance of wetter than normal conditions in much of Australia, this influence should not be as great in our growing area. You will soon receive your mill mud application forms. Any growers that wish to receive mill mud this season must complete these forms and return them to us. You also need to make sure that you have recorded the paddocks where the mud will be applied, as this is required under the EPA exemption. We are required under law to demonstrate that these conditions have been met and to keep records of paddocks where mud has been applied. You can only apply mud to a specific paddock once in every 4 years under these rules. You will also need to let the driver know the paddock number where he is applying the mud. he needs to record this in his system. Drivers will be provided with copies of farm maps to assist in this process. Prices for mill mud delivery will increase this year, reflecting underlying increase in the costs of fuel and other operating expenses. We will advise you of this cost prior to orders being received. Please note that the same dump prices applied during the season will now also apply to any ash delivered after the season is finished. We're currently undertaking a survey of first ratoon and first ratoon replant crops to better ascertain the incidence of ratoon stunting disease, or RSD, and to understand its impact on our overall production. Mark has completed the collection of 150 to 200 samples in the Harwood mill area, and this has been replicated at Broadwater and Condong. The samples will now be analysed in the SRA labs in Brisbane. We'll advise you of any results relating to your property when we have them. SRA have previously estimated that RSD can cause yield loss of between 5 and 60%, with an average yield loss estimated at 15 to 20%. Mark will do any additional sampling of seed sources later in the year, and we'll be in contact with you soon to work out which fields that you need tested. Growing conditions in the ASP this year have been almost ideal, with no damage from flooding. We will provide additional information on variety performance from the 2020 season in June, and we'll send out the seed order forms at the same time. We'll also advise of any change to prices for clean seed at this time. We have over 1,000 tonnes of clean seed available for distribution in 2021, with 120 to 160 tonnes of the 5 major varieties and the new release SRA 11. There is more limited availability of other varieties. These calculations are all based on an estimated yield of 75 tonnes to the hectare, or around 30 tonnes to the acre. The ASP will be open for distribution in the last week of August or first week of September. We released 150 tonnes of SRA 11 in 2021, and for the most part have been very pleased with how the variety is performing. The emergence and establishment in the seed plot was a little patchy after hot water treatment, but we haven't seen these issues in commercial plantings. We had released a little of the variety in 2019, and it has performed very well in riverbank alluvial soils on Warragah Island, outperforming neighbouring Q208 and Q242. Mark is pictured on this slide with a 2-year-old stalk and a 1-year-old sucker, both pretty impressive. The picture was taken in mid-April, so we've seen further growth in the last 6 weeks. We have another 150 tonnes available for release again this year, so if you haven't yet given it a try, we encourage you to do so. It looks like a good variety. We are propagating a further 3 varieties in the mother plot this year, with 50 to 70 tonnes likely to be available for release in 2022. SRA 29 has an REGV of 10.7, suggesting it outperformed the trial standards by 7%. It has had an average CCS of 13.4 and an average yield of 154 tonnes per hectare across all 2-year-old trials. SRA W30 is perhaps the pick of the new varieties, with an REGV of 11.7, suggesting it outperformed the trial standards by 17%. It had an average CCS of 13.5 and an average cane yield of 165.3 tonnes to the hectare. QC04402 has an REGV of 11, suggesting 10% outperformance of trial standards. It had an average CCS in 2-year-old trials of 13.1 and cane yield of 169.8 tonnes to the hectare. Weeds can have a severe impact on sugarcane yields and on your farm profitability, competing with cane for limited moisture and soil nutrient resources. Studies by SRA undertaken back in 2008 show that suboptimal weed control can cause an average loss of yield to the value of $338 per hectare, probably getting towards $500 per hectare in today's money. When managing weeds, timing is the key. and a delay of even a week can make a substantial difference in your ability to control them. The wetter season this year has provided ideal conditions for a build-up in weed seed. We have copies of the SRA weed management in sugarcane manuals. These are a great resource, and we encourage anyone who hasn't yet picked one up to contact us and organise us to get one out to you. We will also be updating and releasing the Sunshine Sugar Agricultural Services Weed Control and Spraying Manual in June. This is another great resource, and it will be posted to the Sunshine Sugar website and electronic copies sent out to those growers who have email available. And we can provide you with a paper copy on request. It provides updated information on treatments for common weed problems and is targeted to the specific threats that we face in the local region. We've seen a new threat emerging in terms of weed control. Swamp panic is a grass species native to Southeast and Southern Asia and Northern Australia. It has been seen in the Clarence as far back as 1982, but this year we have seen significant expansion in the area that it covers. It can be very hard to control and very expensive if you let it get out of hand and into cane growing areas. Swamp panic grows in wet areas and produces a huge amount of seed which can spread with flood, and we have noted it particularly along new drains on the new section of the Pacific Highway through Tyndale, but we've also seen it in other areas. Growers that get the best results against this weed treat it with pre-emergent sprays, including Flame and Balance. Check with your local agronomist or chemical supplier to discuss alternatives and apply with reference to rates advised on the labels. If you have any issues with this, please contact us and we can work out a management plan. Recent flooding has brought home the importance of maintaining clean drains that allow us to get water off our paddocks as soon as possible. As discussed in the previous slide, drains can also be an entry point for weed infestations. So let's make sure that they're clean and sprayed when required. When spraying, ensure that you only use chemicals registered for that purpose and make sure that you check weather conditions beforehand. When cleaning drains, also make sure that you've checked your acid sulfate soils management plan and that you are following the requirements set out in the plan. When applying lime to spoil and surface of drains, do so at the rate specified in the plan. We will be sending out acid sulfate soils compliance forms in coming weeks. Please make sure you complete these forms immediately. As per the requirements of the self-regulation scheme, we have to select 10 farms at random and arrange inspections with council employees to ensure that conditions are being met. These inspections will be undertaken in July. The self-regulation scheme is an important initiative that allows us to carry out drainage maintenance work without the requirement for a development application. It is very important that we're able to maintain this arrangement, so please ensure your paperwork is up to date in case you're chosen.
I'll finish by wishing everyone good luck for the coming crush, harvest and planting seasons. If anyone needs any more information, there's an email there on the slide, but if you need any more information on any of the slides, happy for you to contact them. They'll speak to myself or John Fury or any of the management team. Thank you.